This is Phantom Electric Ghost, and we're live on the air with Stephanie Cordes for the first time. Welcome to the Phantom Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing tonight?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's fun today. We don't have a lot. You're my only episode live tonight. Sometimes I do 3 episodes a night, so this is good.
Wow.
I can just
Okay.
focus on not having to like cut this short because sometimes I have to cut them short, but we can go the full hour.
All
Um,
right.
Let people know we have something new. You probably see there's a QR code here, and that QR code actually links to your Steph Ahead uh, um, .com site. So if people want to take their phone and scan that, that's the way the QR codes work. You just scan that QR code, and you'll be able to follow along on your website or
Awesome.
check out what your website's stating to kind of understand the full picture of what we're going to discuss tonight. But before we get to the heart of our show, we always ask every guest a couple questions. What motivates you, and why do you do what you do?
Yeah. So, what motivates me is I've always been someone who likes to help people. And I was lucky enough to stumble upon a business that allows me to help people one on one every day. So I feel really blessed that I have an opportunity to share what someone else shared with me one on one. And I get to work with people, share information, take them through a discovery process, and I'm really humbled that, many times I've had people tell me that I've changed their lives, that their lives are never going to be the same. And that is just such a powerful, humbling feeling that I don't hear that every day, but when I do, it's been really powerful. Some people never get to hear those kinds of things. And I'm full of gratitude for having the opportunity to have a life like this now where I only have nice conversations with people. There's no meeting after the meeting. I'm not doing PowerPoints. It's just an amazing, happy business that I'm in. So it's so motivating. I don't need any extra encouragement. I don't need to hype myself up for meetings with my clients. The work is its own motivator.
Yeah, it's that interesting. Like that when you get to own your own business, and when you're an entrepreneur versus like in being in the corporate world, where if you're like in the C-suite, like you feel like, well, I'm part of it. It feels like, you know. But I think what happens is sometimes like the corporate world can like burn people out.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes they get people on this train where it's like, well, you got to do like 7 days a week, 80% of your time dedicated to the enterprise.
Right.
And if you're buying into that and you feel it, there are people that buy into that for however long they buy into it. And then they
Right.
hit this kind of crucible moment like, well, it's not working for me anymore.
Right. Right. Well, essentially, you're a cog in the wheel. And maybe over time, you become a more important cog in the wheel. And that can be satisfying in some ways. You're getting maybe better pay, maybe you get a better title. And those things can be satisfying in their own ways. But there's a dark side to that too, that sometimes people experience, and lack of stability, um, in having restructuring going on all the time, and layoffs to deal with. Like you mentioned, long hours, working on weekends, things like that. So that's when I think you have to start to question, or you may come to question over the years, why am I doing this? When you realize you're a cog in the wheel, that you're not that important, that you are completely replaceable. Even CEOs are replaceable.
Yeah.
And why are you doing this when you own your own business? If you work harder, you personally reap the rewards of it. So yeah, it's definitely a different thing altogether.
Because it's like your vision. It's like the idea, like what it's like the creator. Like if you're a creative person and you write that book, right? And you write that you're a screenplay, you're a film director, you're a painter, you create the painting. You create the piece
Mhm.
of music. I'm a musician. And
Right.
when it's like versus like a studio musician, they didn't write the song. Like they're
Mhm.
there to like they're billed by the union and they gotta get it done. The horn section will come in and do it, but they didn't write it. And
Right.
when you actually own it, when it's
Yeah.
your vision, there's something about that to me is It's like there's this pride in your work.
Right.
Not that you didn't have pride in your work when you're in the machine,
Yeah.
but, like,
Yeah.
you don't own it. Like, if you're work for hire versus I
Right.
own the copyright, I own the patent, like,
Right.
I own the piece of work, and,
Right.
that's when, like, the musicians, we kinda fought, just like, "Hey, we wanna own our masters,
Right.
because if we don't, then our song ends up in a Coke commercial." Right,
Right.
and maybe we don't want it to be in a Coke commercial.
Right, right, and you don't have control over that thing that you authored anymore. It's actually the same in the corporate world too. Like I wrote white papers. I before when I was in the corporate world, I worked for large insurance companies like top 10, you know, top 10 businesses. And I wrote white papers that technically don't belong to me. They belong to the organization. So I couldn't
Mhm.
cite them after I left. I can't cite them on my LinkedIn page as things that I authored because they belong to the organization. So it's the same kind of idea with the masters.
Yeah, because eventually it's just like, why should I give up all my intellectual property to the enterprise
Right,
when if I take some risks, I could own it, right? And then
right,
you could be a consultant, like you could take your advice, or you have your business and your service business, or you're offering coaching, right? So then that's not their proprietary process. It's yours.
right,
It's
right.
like it's your advice. It's like now you are being paid for what, and the cut's not going to the board or the shareholders or the, but it's like yours.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And what I learned, so I always wanted to help people. And so I started off in healthcare. So I was really tightly aligned with helping people. And then I got more on the business side of things. And then how it ended up is I ended up very far away from helping people. I ended up working in my last position, working on physician incentive programs. So imagine this, we were, as an insurance company, finding ways to incentivize providers to provide better care, which is sort of crazy. Shouldn't
Yeah,
they
isn't that
already
the
be
Hippocratic
providing,
Oath? Like, isn't that
like,
like your
yeah,
oath to do
Hippocratic
that?
oath
Like, now
and
you have
all
to
that,
incentivize
right?
it.
Shouldn't they already be providing the best care possible? And then finding ways to incentivize them to do it. Of course, we want to incentivize them to also do cost efficient care as we
Yeah.
deemed so, maybe in certain locations that were cheaper or whatever guidelines other people had come up with in the company. And it just, dawned on me, not one day, but over time, like this is so far removed from helping people,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
to become more of the bureaucratic process,
yeah,
like more like
yeah,
an actuary, like a bean counter, right? As
yeah,
you start getting into the bureaucratic process, because I've been in
yeah,
the insurance world, I'm in financial services, but
yeah.
I'm more of a like a smaller company. Went from a Fortune 500 company to a smaller company
Uh-huh.
because I like the idea, at least in my day job, is I'm allowed to wear multiple hats
Mhm.
and allowed to be very creative in the
Mhm.
business. So I'm willing to stay within that structure if my ideas are listened to. Like like
Right.
like when you go into an organization, you throw your ideas at the board, and like 9 out of 10 are not taking them.
Right.
Right? Then you're like,
Mhm.
whoa, like should I be in this organization? Because then you go to an organization where you actually put something out, you throw it at the wall, and they actually take it. Then you're like, okay, well, I feel like I'm being like this. This is working
Right.
because at least I'm being heard. Like if you find that you're not
Mhm.
being heard and you're not, your contributions are minimized, it's like, well, why would you stay there unless you just
Right.
take the paycheck?
Right, right, right. Well, so that's what it comes down to for a lot of people, and I get that. And so where I ended up was, if you're making a good living, and I was, um, but I was just profoundly unhappy. I really was unhappy in my job. I started looking for other jobs, but I knew in my heart that I would be unhappy in any job that I
Yeah,
took.
all of them, they're like
Maybe,
in the box. Like a lot of times,
yeah,
if a lot of times the world tells you they want out of the box thinking, and
yeah,
then you just end up in another box.
right.
They might have a lot of shiny bells and whistles saying they're different, But then
Right.
like after you're in the business a while, he's like, "Oh, this isn't really different than the last couple."
Exactly. I knew I would
Insurance is
be
insurance,
happy.
right?
Yeah, I knew I'd be happy and challenged for maybe 6 months, 9 months, maybe a year, but I knew it wouldn't last. I knew I'd end up in the same spot, feeling the same way. I could be challenged in certain ways. It wasn't that I wasn't being maybe challenged enough.
Mhm.
It's that I didn't really have a heart for what we were doing. I thought that the work in large part was not useful. I didn't like the long days anymore. I
Mhm.
realized how much I had missed out on, and I just wanted to look at something different. And what happened was someone reached out to me on LinkedIn. It turned out to be a career ownership coach, which is what I do now. And I started this process of discovery with her. And that's what started this whole journey for me, which created me starting my own practice doing the same thing. So it was so transformational that a person just reached out to me at the right time.
Yes.
And we started looking at different options, different possibilities. And one of them was owning your own business. And I thought, well, I mean, I am a business person fundamentally. Now, I have spent my whole career in certain types of roles, and I have a certain kind of master's degree. So I don't know if it makes any sense for me to walk away from all of that because I'm making a very good living and I went to school for a long time and I did it as an adult. So it's still pretty fresh in my memory, having done all that. And I've got student loans to pay still, as many people can relate to. So,
Yeah.
does it make sense to walk away from that? So, I believe I could be a business owner, sure, doing something different, but does it make sense to walk away from all this? Working up to the level that I'm working at, to walk away from all that money and to walk away from my education and do something else. That was a real mental
Well,
hurdle for
that's like the
me.
risk averse, like the risk benefit reward calculation, because
Yes.
that's like why people stay in the corporate grind
Yes.
is because like there's certain like baseline stuff that I don't have to worry about. Like I don't gotta worry about my like paying for my own, setting up my healthcare plan, setting up
Yep.
the taxes, setting up all the business rules, all the obligations that now you're responsible for. So there's a certain level of like, oh, right now I actually have to do that. Like now I
Right.
actually have to have all this stuff that may be already kind of packaged for you, so you don't got to worry
Right.
about it. Now
Right.
you're responsible for some baseline stuff that you
Right.
didn't have to worry about. Like,
Right.
but then you have the worry. I guess the benefit thing is, well, if I'm not happy, how much is value is in my happiness? And this is where I think in the corporate structure in America, people like they minimize their happiness.
Right.
They think there's like, well, I'm not supposed to be happy. And then if
Mhm.
you start to value your happiness, you value like your kind of childlike curiosity.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
people tend to like, well, being an adult, I'm not supposed to have that.
Right.
So then
Right.
you kind of minimize it, but at some point it starts eating at you.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Exactly.
should have. What if I had a career that actually I'm happy every day?
Exactly.
What I'm satisfied that I'm passionate about versus being not passionate. And maybe people say, well, you don't need to be passionate. Like artists, we're passionate. So we're like, that is part of what it should be.
Right. Right.
Because there's no logical brain comes and says you should be dispassionate.
Right.
So
Yeah,
then
you
that
get it because you're a creative, so you could do my job. You'd be brilliant at it. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. So you're this cog in this machine, and if you do well, you're making good money. You've achieved what you expected to achieve. When I decided to take student loans and get my master's degree, I looked at the cost benefit ratio or the cost opportunity, and I looked to see, okay, I need to be making this much money if I'm going to spend this much money. And then I made multiples of it. So I had achieved far more than I ever expected to achieve.
Mhm.
So but the one side of my brain is saying, okay, you've done it. You're doing great. You did everything you wanted to do. But the other part of me is going, I am miserable. I am so unhappy. But society also, and our parents would start with one job and stay with it for 50 years, right? Or 60 years and
And they
never
probably weren't that
change.
passionate about it.
Right. But yeah, my dad never liked, I mean, they never talked about liking their jobs. That wasn't even on the list of things you aspired for. You just had a job
Yeah,
and you
you're
were
just
grateful
like
for
it's
it.
like obligations, kinda like a baseline.
Yeah,
Like, you're not supposed to love your job. Like,
right.
you're supposed to like, it's the grind. It
Yeah,
is. It's like that's what it is, and you're just like,
right,
that's just the price of a
right.
mortgage.
Yes,
Is
exactly.
is
You're
to
going
is
to
to ha
work, you're not
is to
going
ha
to fun.
you have to they like, I don't have to like it. It's just something I have to do,
Right.
right?
Or so then I met my career ownership coach, and that's one of the things that we talked about. She said, let's start at the beginning and talk about your goals. So we talked about, what are things that are important to me. And one of the things she said was, tell me what you do for fun. Dead
Yeah,
silence.
yeah.
I was like,
Your hobbies,
well,
like, did you have hobbies? Were you so into the grind that you didn't have hobbies, that you didn't have fun things you wanted to do?
I might hang out with my kids sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the saddest thing ever. And she said, that's okay. That's okay. All right. I think we should work on that. And we talked about free time. But free time, what's
For free time. Yeah,
free
like,
time?
if
Like
you get in
like
the
when I do
grind and you
laundry?
don't have it. It's kinda like they want us to get like, I don't know, I run into tech bros, like, the new thing with the tech bros especially these AI guys, is like they get their people so caught up in the rat race that
Yeah.
they're working like, 90%,
Yeah.
80% of their time.
Yeah.
And they're not like the guys I run into who like, "Well, yeah, I'm playing in a bar with my bar band, right? Like my fun time band, like
Yeah.
they're painting or they're doing a play in the local like theater. Like people don't have time for that in that world. Like they've taken all their joy away and put
Right.
them onto the grind so much that they don't even think they have a right to
Right.
have like the outside thing.
Mhm. 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 Exactly. Exactly. So, we go through this process where at the beginning, and I'm kind of telling you in tandem here what my journey was and the journey that we take people through. We first spend some time talking about, what your goals are for the future in terms of income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity. Talking about what's important in terms of income. And I was really upfront with, look, I'm making more money than I ever dreamed of. I don't need this much. I'm very blessed. Half as much would be just fine. But the
Mm.
problem is, what I know from my own work experience is, even if I went to like a lower level analyst for half the money, I'd have to work so much harder, in this corporate world. So that is not a solution
It
here,
doesn't solve it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because you have to hustle even harder at that level, it's so different. It's so interesting in the corporate world. So, we talked about those kinds of goals, big goals for life. Are you interested in charity and doing work like that? Did you ever do work like that?
Or nonprofit type
Um,
work.
yeah. um, what are your goals for your family, and what's important to you that way. And I had at the time, one of my children who was in high school had an acute health issue,
Mm.
and we all had to basically stop what we're doing and help her through that. And now she has a chronic health issue that she deals with, and this was years ago. But it was life altering, for her and for us too at that moment. And I stayed in the corporate world for another probably 4 years after that. The moment she got that diagnosis, I lost all ambition in the corporate world.
Mhm.
I didn't lose my ambition to do a good job. I lost my ambition to climb.
They climb that they kinda keep on pushing to
Yeah,
get to the next
yeah,
level.
yeah. I
Yeah.
no longer wanted to climb. I just wanted to do my job and continue to do it well. But I no longer wanted to climb because
Well,
I realized
you had
how.
other things in life that became
Yeah,
important. Yeah,
yeah,
because once you like, I have a child that has a disability, and that became a factor
yeah,
of, it being a
absolutely.
road warrior. I was a road warrior, and then once that her diagnosis came, it's like, I can't really be that road warrior because I need to be involved in my child's situation.
Yeah.
And there are certain like organizations that couldn't understand that. Like the part of that job, you needed to be on the road, like Sunday to Thursday.
Right. Yeah.
And if you I had to switch to an organization that said I didn't have to do that,
Right.
right? And so then I'd say, okay, I need to realign, and sometimes we have to make a assessment. It's like, can I realign? Can I
Right.
actually live with that? Do you feel guilty, like, or do you feel not right about changing that? But you just have to they have boundaries. I think a lot of people
Right.
don't set their boundaries.
Right.
Right? They
Right.
let the kind of corporation set the boundaries for 'em.
Yeah. Right. Right. And you just keep pushing. You just keep pushing. Giving the corporation as much as you can, and then something like that happens, something life altering, and then it changes your perspective. And now I still needed an income, and I was very fortunate with the boss that I had at the time. He was completely accommodating. And they were very, very good about what I needed to do at the time. I took a lot of time off, and I needed to kind of intermittently for a long time. And they were very good about that. Um, and in fact, that was ended up being one of my probably most successful years. I still accomplished so much at work, and did a really good job. Like I wanted to do that was important to me, a source of pride for me to be able to do that, even in challenging circumstances. But still, I had this massive mindset shift on what's important to me, like that, just that fragility of life. Um, Really just hit home when it's one of your kids that's suddenly faced
Yeah,
with
because suddenly
something.
it's not something you can push off to retirement to have
Right,
time. You need
right,
time becomes important then.
right.
And that's like
Exactly.
the hard to thread that. Like, oh, when you have these life altering kind of crucible moments, like I have to actually put like my child's situation on the same
Mhm.
level as this and see can I actually thread the needle.
Right.
And
Yeah.
does the organization give me the grace to thread the needle, or are they so stuck in their box that they can't, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And I was one of the lucky ones. They did let me handle that and gave me a lot of grace. But still, it started the chain reaction of me evaluating what do we do here? What's my job here? And started me thinking about what other things could I do. But I still would have never dreamed of what I ended up doing.
That pivot,
Um,
like, how do you make like, so now you're actually like in the process, in your new life, you help people with the pivot, right?
yeah.
That's what you do, is that you teach people how to have some grace and some kind of I guess awareness,
Right.
situational awareness of how do you do this pivot.
Right. So, one of the reasons I got interested in this business, and it is a business, is that there's an unending amount of miserable people in the corporate world. So I will never run out
You're
of
not gonna run out
potential.
of
I'll
clients.
never run out of potential clients, right? So, what I do is I share information, and the Entrepreneur Source has been in business for 40 years. So I'm a franchisee of that company. And we have a great process, and it's based on education, awareness, and discovery. So, what we do is once we have helped clients clarify what their goals are for the future, we look at all the different ways that they could meet those goals. So, for many people, staying in the W 2 world is the right thing for them. They
Mm,
might just be in the wrong job.
mhm.
And so they need to, sometimes they want to pivot into a different field, and they realize that's the best thing for them. Or they realize that if they have additional, sometimes people don't really hate their jobs. I love it when I meet someone like that. Like, wait, you don't hate your job? That's great. That's great. Keep it. Good. Keep it. You're looking for additional revenue. Let's talk about that. Because it's so rare to find someone that likes their job. So sometimes people decide that they are better off, investing in the stock market or the real estate. And then some people want to explore business ownership. And there's lots of different paths to business ownership. Um, if there's a business down the street that's for sale, you could look at that. You could start your own business from scratch. There's different challenges with that. Some people buy things and sell them on Amazon. Other people make things and sell them on Etsy. Some people start
Yeah.
consultancies.
Or franchises or wherever they go into like, they buy the ready-made thing.
Exactly. So another option is franchises. So that's what I did. So we have over 250 different franchise partners. So, once I understand, it's really important to us that we know who our clients are. That's why we start with everyone with their goals. So if it makes sense in the conversation, once we learn what someone's skills are, and we've talked about your transferable skills and your business interests, if it makes sense in the conversation and they want to, I can potentially introduce them to a few of my business partners, and they have an opportunity to learn in a no pressure environment about those different opportunities. And what's great about that is I'm not a salesperson. I'm just a person. I'm just a person sharing information. And so I'm a coach. I coach them through learning about different opportunities. They work directly with the franchisors to learn about those opportunities, but they still meet with me throughout the process. So what we do is
It's
we
not a
really
one
found
size fit all. So it's not like a
no,
one size fits all. You're really looking at the individual as you've been talking,
yeah,
and you kind of
exactly.
customize to what that individual is telling you.
Exactly. With so many, there's thousands of franchises in the United States. And if you just on your own were interested in franchising, I don't know where you would start, And so what we have a great relationship with all of our franchisors, and they promise to treat our clients in a certain way, really collaborate closely with us and make it an educational process so no one feels pressured. And it's a long process. It takes a long time to learn what you need to know to find out if something's right for you.
Mhm.
Uh, Months. It takes months. It's not quick. It's not a couple phone calls. So, what's really great is that this process is in a safe space for people, and we can present them things they never would have considered themselves. So, for instance, I looked at 3 different opportunities that were not coaching related. I was not interested in becoming a coach. It's one of the first things my coach suggested to me, and I said, "No, I'm not nice enough." And she said,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about? I think you're nice." And I said, "I'm not as nice as you are." I was so burnt out in the corporate world and like so kind of beat down and always had to be the person to like shoot down people's ideas and, had that kind of a job that I was in such a bad place. Just beat down though from the corporate world and unhappy. I couldn't even imagine myself in a place where I would be able to coach people, and be happy and encouraging. But she saw the spark in me. But anyways, I didn't want to look at it. So she showed me some other opportunities. And I recognized how great some of them were. And one, in fact, I really, really liked. And she said to me one day, she said, I know you would be great at all these businesses, but this one in particular, I'm a little bit worried about how you're going to be able to care for your daughter because I know what her issues are. And this one's going to require you to put a lot of hours in because every business is different. But this
Mhm.
particular one, I know it well. And you'd have to really be put a lot of hours in. And have you thought about how that's going to work? And I said, hmm, let me think on that. And I came back and I realized the business person in me got excited about this awesome opportunity. But it was the coach that needed to say to me, have you thought about how that's going to work with your goals? Because I had very specific goals about what I needed to do for my family. And so she showed me, and this is what the coaching is for, that I wasn't staying aligned and
Yeah,
reminded
you
me,
gotta align. Yeah, you gotta need the thing that kinda like of a law of attraction, you gotta fit the, thing that's actually gonna fit your frequency, like, kinda where you are.
yeah,
Like, sometimes you might because maybe you're used to that time
yeah,
intensive thing that
yeah,
it aligned to you, like, it has, like, the same frequency you're on, but you
yeah,
actually need to change, like, your frequency to give yourself the bandwidth. And sometimes people
exactly.
don't give themselves, like, the headroom. Like, in bandwidth,
Yeah,
I'm talking, like, sonic terms, like music terms, but it's
yeah,
still the kinda idea, like, if you're gonna raise your bandwidth, like,
right.
or you're gonna narrow your bandwidth, like, what can you handle? And so you kinda
Exactly.
filter out, like, what is necessary, what's not necessary.
Exactly. So that's what we do as coaches. We help our clients stay aligned with their goals as they explore. as they're learning, they come back and tell us what they learned, and we listen and make sure they stay aligned with their goals. So that's what our role is. And what we do is we coach to a point of clarity. We're not trying to get people to invest in businesses or start consultancies or get jobs. We're trying to get people to a point where they have enough information that they can make informed decisions with confidence. So that point of clarity. So that's success for us. So I celebrate all of that with my clients. If they've decided they want to stay in the W-2 world, great. If they decide that they want to start their own business, awesome. If they decide they want to go into business with a franchise partner, that's fantastic. And what you'll see with my reviews, if you looked at them on LinkedIn or Google Business, the vast majority of them are people that decided to stay in the W-2 world or started to do their own thing, and not necessarily people that went into franchising. They're all happy just to have had the information, to have learned about, franchising and other things, and take that time to focus on themselves and clarify their goals, because most of us haven't done that since we were very young.
Yeah, a lot of people like I don't know, in the art world we have this idea of like the looking glass self. It kind of it's a Victorian idea. Look in a mirror, yeah, do an assessment. You kind of do a real assessment. Like, are you happy? Like,
Mhm.
what is it that are you doing the same thing over and over again, not the result you want? So you
Right.
start to do an assessment, and it's kind of sugar coated assessment. It's like
Okay.
it's a real assessment of
Yeah.
why are you not happy? Like, why are you
Right.
doing the same thing that's not giving you the same result, the result you want? And it's
Right.
like, what could you do different? Like
Right.
what, or maybe I'm not really looking at things and assessing, like, maybe I actually am happy.
Mm.
But I was looking for something that I actually and when I actually look at that thing that I thought I wanted, it's not actually what I want.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
you have to kinda do like, it's a real time. Like, what is it? The rubber hits the road, like, what is it you're trying to get to? And
Right.
maybe you need to make micro changes or
Mm-hmm.
macro changes. Like, do you have to actually do big changes, or could you do incremental changes and get to where you want? Because some people wanna
Right.
go 0 to 100
Right.
all at once, and maybe they need to do little micro changes here,
Right.
course corrections here. It's not as major as you think. Maybe it's not 180.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a minor course correction.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And small changes will help you build confidence too.
Yeah, because winning is not always like we call it like happy accidents or like lessons learned, right?
Mm.
Like when you a musician, like you could do 100 demos, right?
Mhm.
And really demo number 4 was really what you really found is actually works, and you went and did all these other ones. But to
Yeah.
do the other ones, it actually was necessary to realize that number 4 was actually the right one.
Right, right.
It's not really
Okay.
wasted time. If you
Yeah.
look at like you or the 100 things you did were wasted, no. You did
Right.
100 things to realize the number 4 is actually the right one.
Right. Right.
You had
Yeah.
to actually go through it to get to it.
I definitely like the concept that nothing we've done has been a waste of time. It's important for me to think that in my life, that um, I didn't waste my time, that everything I've done has led me to this moment. It's important for me to believe that. I don't want to think that I wasted too much
Yeah.
time, you
Well, a lot
know?
of times, like, if I'm a Buddhist, but we kind of feel like things that happen were supposed to happen, and
Yeah.
you just need to actually understand why they happened. So there's
Right.
some introspection that has to happen, but if you don't actually take the time to do the introspection or the looking glass self or the lessons learned, like, you
Yeah.
don't actually go back and say, like, "Why did" we had a session, it's like, what happened here? Like,
Right.
let's see, and not to kinda beat people up, it's like but, like, you sometimes you have to, break some eggs to make the cake,
Right.
you can't live on eggshells, sometimes it has to happen, so you have to make a decision. If you
Right.
make that decision, people say, "Oh, they hated it." But if you sit
Mhm.
there and not make a decision or you don't put something out in the world, well, you're never
Right.
gonna know what the response is if you don't
Right.
try it.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I think it's interesting that a lot of I see so many mind shifts, as people go through the process. People often feel trapped in their corporate careers, and what I like to see is my clients see a shift into them, seeing possibilities, that there are different options out there, because that's how I felt, that there wasn't any options. And when I first met my career coach, I didn't know what she wanted to talk about. I didn't
Mhm.
understand what it meant to be a career coach. Um, so when she said, I think I have an idea for you. Did you ever think about owning your own business? I was like, well, yeah, I always thought I would be a really good business owner. She's like, really? What did you think about doing? Well, I never thought past that, just that I would be a good business owner. So to hear that there were options, and then to get specific about them, even though maybe the first ones that we talked about, didn't end up being the right ones for me, it opened my mind to wait a minute. I am a business person. I have a business degree. Okay, sure. I practiced in a certain type of business for a long time, but I could really do anything. And what's cool about franchising is they teach you everything you need to know to succeed in a franchise. I don't know if you know that or not. So there's an operations manual, there's policies and procedures. So they know the secret sauce on what it takes for people to succeed. And all you have to do is follow the system. So once I learned that, I realized I could literally do anything. So then
You
I
don't have to
said,
start from scratch, right? Because I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs, are scared to like they're gonna have to learn everything and kind of fail, like fail upward, right?
well,
If you got like a turnkey thing where you actually got a manual, that's
yeah,
different than starting from scratch. Like if you start from scratch, you probably will make mistakes. You will
right. You
have,
will.
yeah, not that you won't when you have a turnkey, but like you'll learn, but there's a process. Like it says, you've
Yes.
got a manual there or a structure or a paradigm.
Yeah.
You, you
There's a great saying, but you hit the nail on the head. There's a great saying about franchising, which is that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, because you have this whole support network, and you get initial training and ongoing training. And what's great is, so every franchise can say that it's a requirement that they have an operations manual, and franchising is highly regulated in this country. But in this discovery process, there's something you do called owner validation. So you get to talk to other owners and find out what is their experience. You get to ask them the tough questions. So you really get to collect all these data points as you're going along and learning. And what you learn is that it's no longer just like, okay, I'm going to start a business. That sounds like you're just rolling the dice. What you learn is it's more of a calculated risk, because you're collecting all these data points. Okay, I met all these people corporate. I learned about, the business model, how they get customers, what the corporate support system is, etc. But then I actually met other owners. And then I saw their financial disclosures, which declares exactly what the previous revenue that they've actually made has been. I met the corporate leadership. I've been to their corporate headquarters. So you get all these data points, and you realize this is no longer like blindly rolling the dice. This is like,
yeah,
I have a lot of data points
it's not like
here.
a widget that you don't know if anybody's gonna buy it. Like,
Right.
like it's like you go into something, it's like, well, I don't know if like you don't see the history, you don't see if it's very transparent, like you're saying, you're actually seeing numbers, you're seeing
Yeah.
metrics. And being in the corporate world, you're going like, I need to see the spreadsheets, right? I need
Right.
to see, I need to see the profit loss statements. Like I need to know like that it's actually
Yeah.
viable, right? Where you go into
Yeah.
kind of it's like you're throwing a dart at a board and somebody say, yeah, trust me. Yeah, that makes money.
Right.
Like, well, where's the number? Like,
Right.
like
Right.
where's the proof?
Well, right. So in the corporate world, you see P&Ls. You see that in the franchise too, with the P&Ls of the franchise. It's in their financial disclosures. But just like any business, no one ever guarantees future performance.
Yeah.
Just like with a Fortune 500 company, no one can guarantee how any of those companies are going to do next quarter, right?
Yeah,
They
just
project
'cause
that.
they did the last 5 quarters and then but what if they get competition that blows them out the water? It's like,
Right.
it's nothing's 100%,
Nothing's
Yeah.
nothing's 100%, but you're collecting all these data points, and you have a system to support you with all these things in place. So that's what kind of the learning process is. And it's just really, I think, an eye-opening experience for some people, to go through that and learn about those things. So it's just been a real blessing for so many people to have the opportunity just to learn about it. And whether they decide that they're more comfortable in the W-2 world and that meets their goals, a lot of people actually decide to start businesses on the side and keep their corporate
Yeah,
job.
like a gig work. Like what some people do, like it's almost like they're an entrepreneur on the side, but you like a lot of musicians.
Yeah,
Like we're starving artists, but we you have different levels of day jobs from like the
right,
people who are working with a moving company, or they got their day gig, or they
right.
got people who are like in IT, and then they're a
Mhm.
musician on the side or a podcaster on the side like
Right,
myself. It's like 'cause
right.
so you can dip your toe in to do things, and then
Yep,
like you're the benefit is like, hey, I can do something where my risk aversion might not be so I could put like a piece of music out
exactly.
that if I'm funding it and I have a steady, I can pay my mortgage, and I'm not going to be like the starving artist, like, well, it's all or nothing. Like
Exactly.
I have a chance I could keep on putting things out that maybe no
Right.
don't make it in the marketplace. But
Mhm.
the reason I do it is because I'm doing it from an artistic perspective.
Right.
The art
Yeah.
perspective is like you put that piece of art out, not always because you want to make a lot of money,
Mhm.
because you're
Mhm.
trying to actually express yourself,
Right.
right? So the
Right.
goal is not necessarily the metric might be not be the same as somebody like this widget needs to sell 1,000 units
Mhm.
because like
Mhm.
it cost me this much to make
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah, yeah, understood. Yeah. Yeah, there's the different reasons people have to start things on the side. Sometimes our people, so like you said, it's good for people that are maybe more risk adverse and they don't want to leave the safety of their corporate job even though they hate it. So they start something on the side and then they wait till it grows and it generates enough income for them to leave that corporate job.
Yeah,
Or maybe they just
forever.
stick it out, leave it forever, or maybe they just stick it out and stay there and then just keep growing this additional revenue stream on the side. Some people are trying to grow like a family legacy. So, corporate America has, if things are going good, corporate America has a lot of things to offer. So, for instance, corporate America paid for my investment in my business. So that's
Mhm.
where the money came from, people. It came from my corporate job.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've not forgotten that where it came from. And God bless them for it. So I think it was
Yeah.
an even trade. My time and
That's why
resources.
we were always telling artists is like sometimes you have that job, right?
Yeah,
And you don't go and be the starving artist that's living like, like in your van,
right.
going from gig to gig, that you actually have like a house, like you have an apartment, that you
Yeah,
don't have to be like living like start the starving artist mentality is not necessarily needed
right,
to be the entrepreneur artist. And I
right.
would think the same thing applies to what you're saying. Like you could you can dip a toe into it. You can
Yeah,
wade into the water.
exactly.
You have to go into the deep end,
You
right?
can, and
Yeah.
you can also time it. I waited 6 months. I knew I had a bonus coming. I waited for the bonus before I did. A lot of people do that. So you can
Mhm.
make strategic steps. It's important, I think, when you set your goals that you remain, that you stay directionally true to those goals so that every step you're making, some of your goals might be really big and you're not going to achieve them for some time. But if along the way you just stay directionally true to those goals, I think that's really important. So everything starts with first defining those goals for the rest of your life. And then from there, setting actionable steps that you can take towards achieving what those goals are and being open to different possibilities.
That kind of going back to like aligning your goals with your values, because I think a lot of times the
Mhm.
reason people maybe go get all the way out of the corporate world is like they're the values that in their corporate world aren't really aligning where they are anymore. So it
Right,
becomes like a necessary thing. Like I don't really like where it's going, right? So
right,
they have a vision, and they go toward that vision and they plan it out, right? So
right,
like, with a franchise model, you probably have a lot more security in terms of okay, this is going to align better, right? And it's actually going to make me money. Or you can at least the risk is not like they going to the casino and like hoping that you're gonna win. You're
well,
gonna win. You gotta
It's
win to
not,
make maybe
well,
you're
it's
not.
not like going to the casino, and it's not like starting something from scratch. You have a business plan, and you can see you have other owners that you can talk to, and there'll be a lot of structure to it. So franchises are for people that like processes and structure and
Mhm.
want to have a plan, because you will have the whole thing planned out and launch dates and all that, and you'll know exactly what needs to
A lot of
happen.
confidence. Yeah,
Yes, and they're for people that want to follow a process. People that don't do well in franchises, people that don't like to follow a process.
yeah.
And
If
then
you
that's
don't
not
like
for
that, like,
you.
if you're yeah, if you're more like, I just wanna kinda willy-nilly, like, kinda stream of consciousness in the
Yeah,
moment, flow state, maybe that's not gonna work so good. It can be
yeah,
like
exactly, exactly. But it all starts with an open mind.
So your book is behind you, right? It's The Career Revolution, that's what's on the table?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I forgot it was there. So, because it's always there. So, all of my clients, we share this book called Your Career Revolution. It starts off talking about, it talks about our process. It goes into great detail with examples and case studies. It talks, about what it's like in the corporate world, and it talks about different types of ownership models. It talks about kind of working through your fear and mindset changes and things like that. So I'm happy to share this either in the Audible version or in the hard copy
Oh,
or
Audible
soft.
too. That's cool
Yeah, it's on
because a lot
Audible
of
too.
people, audiobooks is a good way to get rid of that, the entry price of reading today.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
like, some people are they got so many things going on that they don't and then the, like, attention span. Like,
right.
I think a lot of times when you can listen to a book,
Yeah.
maybe you're actually gonna get through it versus, like, people are so
Mm,
divided attention, with, can they actually stay in the book?
it's
Hopefully,
true.
yeah, but, like, I think that you have to make some dedicated decision, like, if you pick up the book, you probably should read the book.
Yeah, and also some people are stuck in their car for long commutes.
Yeah,
So,
like, there's another way to get through it because, like, if you're stuck in that commute, still taking that job and you're trying to invest in something like this, then you could use that time to actually, "Hey, it's going toward my goal." Your
yeah,
goal of trying to get like, how can I get out of this side gig going that maybe become my main gig if I
yeah,
can dedicate and understand the process, and that's what you're about is, like, trying to help people find a way to get to that path. Like, they
yeah.
may not know what the steps are.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know what the right path is for any given person either. We kind of figure that out together and talk through it.
Based on like personality types, right? Because like if you make an assessment, over time, if you kind of determine like, oh, these types of personalities, if you talk to people, you can kind of making a like a sociological assessment. like, is this person the type that's going to fit this type of thing, right?
Well, it's so interesting and varied. There's not one personality type that is really good at business ownership or those classic personality types. I mean, being adaptable, curious, and having a lot of initiative are definitely helpful. But it's really about knowing what your strengths are, learning what your gaps are, and just exploring different opportunities in a thoughtful way. Those are really the qualities of someone who can be great at business. It doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert, or all those different personality types. But we do have some great tools that help us get to know our clients better, help them, kind of self assess themselves, what their strengths are that we use when working with our clients.
Because it's like my grandpa always used to say, like, well, if you show up, that's half the thing. Like, if you're willing to dedicate yourself to actually showing up or like staying in it, right?
Yeah,
And realizing like if you like if you don't not perfect, like the perfection trap with artists, there's a thing of like, wait, if you try to go too perfect, you can like wreck things. So
right,
over time as an artist, you learn that trying to make something perfect is not the goal.
right.
The goal is to actually get to like what the vision is. And the
Yeah.
vision is not necessarily a perfect world vision. It's like it's what's necessary for this piece to happen.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
So whatever's necessary for this to happen, you might not get to that as fast as you wanted to, right? You might
Hmm.
actually have to stretch yourself. You might have to learn new things that you don't have. Like you might not have
Mhm.
this skill. You might have to get to that skill. You
Right.
might not know the subject. You might have to learn that subject.
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
like, just because you're not like, if you could, like, I've been gone into jobs where I wasn't like, I didn't know property casualty.
Mhm.
And now I'm in a business for the last 2 years, I'm in property casualty. A lot of times jobs will tell you you have to have 5 years, 10 years of property casualty. You can't even get into it.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
kinda leveraged I was in 20 years of life, and I said the data based structures, because 'cause I'm in IT, are
Mhm.
not that different.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I would think that the claims in the new business sections aren't that different. The structure of the
Mhm.
databases aren't. The
Right.
business
Right.
is, but if I'm in
Right.
IT, like, that structure is not that different, so I should be able to
Right.
go do it. So you
Yeah.
just kind of say, "Hey, I think I could do it."
Right. That's
And
right.
you give yourself, like, that grace to say,
Right.
like, but there's some people that, "Well, I don't have it, so I'm not even gonna apply."
Right. Exactly. That's a mindset thing.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
change it. So you could actually go into something. You could go
Yep.
from life to health. There are people say, "Well, you
Exactly.
don't know anything about health." It's like, well, I actually went into health at one time. I spent like 3 years in health. I
Mhm.
spent a lot of time in life in the new I've been in, like, multiple areas of insurance because I chose to say, like, "Why couldn't I go?" Because I knew this part, so maybe I should learn this other part. So I learned it, like, a lot of different variations
Yeah.
of the insurance, like, structure, like, the lines of business, and
Right.
then what you find is, like, there's a lot of parallels between all of them.
Mhm. Mhm. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're totally right. A lot of it has to, a lot of things in life have to do with confidence, and that's something I really try to instill in my clients, especially when we look at what skills they have and what are transferable skills. Sometimes people don't even realize how many transferable skills that they have. And those are all the things that you were identifying too, that just all the things that you did in one was applicable to the other, but sometimes people don't think in those terms. So I definitely like to talk to my clients about those things as well.
Yeah, because you could say, well, like, you can have somebody that was in business, maybe customer service in the
Hmm.
automobile industry, and then they wanna go into the, hotel industry, so why there's no
Hmm.
way you don't know it.
Right,
But you were a CSR.
right,
So
right.
CSR, there are certain tenets of being a CSR that apply no matter what industry you're
That's
in.
right. That's
And
right.
so that you could go from one to the next if you just, like, say you have a strong belief, like, I know what I do knew in
Hmm.
this, and I
Hmm.
don't know that. Like, you're honest about what you don't know.
Right,
You don't
right.
oversell that you do know it,
Yeah,
but it shows, like, I think I could take what I do
yeah,
know
yeah.
and learn,
Right,
apply
right.
it, and
Hmm.
maybe give you some different perspective that could be useful. So
Right.
then you could actually go into that interview and say, I don't know this, but I think I could apply this, and maybe we could use some of the things I've learned, and I could
Hmm.
add value."
Right,
So then you go from not having the qualification to actually having it.
right. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, that's fantastic.
But that allows, like, a lot of people are like, "Well, I didn't never started my own business, so I have no right to be in that space because I don't know what I'm
Right,
doing."
right,
But you
right,
kinda give people the confidence
right,
or the insight that there are things that you do know, right?
right.
That you
Yes,
could apply, and you're not just coming in it not knowing anything at all. You
exactly.
you're able to show people that whatever they did know could be applied, and you're not coming in cold, that you actually have some
Exactly.
skills that you maybe are undervaluing
Exactly.
that
That's
you could
exactly
actually
what we
use, right?
I see, Keith, you could totally do this. That's exactly what we do. We look at all the skills that they have, and we can say, look, all these things are going to serve you really well, and they are going to teach you everything that you need to know. But look at all these things that you bring with you. You're not coming to the table with nothing. You're bringing tons of stuff with you, and everything you've done to this moment has led you here and prepared you for this. Even if you're going into a new industry. So yeah, you're exactly right. And I haven't even told you the best part about everything.
Well, what's the best part?
The best part is that I'm a free resource. So we don't charge to work with clients.
Oh, cool.
People just decide one call at a time if they want to go on to the next call. So I know that sounds wild because usually coaches charge, but here's how the business model works. I love it. I'm super proud of it. The way it works is that we're compensated two ways. The first way is that I just want everyone to have a great experience with me, first clarifying their goals and learning about something new. So hopefully at the end of our time together, they'll feel comfortable writing me a good review and referring other people to me. So that's the first way, and it's super important. You know how important reviews are, and getting referrals. That's really, really important to me. And I just want to have great experiences with everyone. So that's the first one. Now, the second one is if people were to go into business with my franchise partners, then they would pay me a placement fee like a recruiter. So the truth is, very few people end up going into business with a franchise partner, but that's okay. Everything works out beautifully. And so because of this awesome model, we can offer our STAR coaching services for free to everybody. So that's why I said it's just such a pleasure. I only work with people who want to work with me. I don't have to cold call people. And it's just such a wonderful thing to be a part of.
Yeah, that seems like you get a lot of adoption when you don't have the fees, because a lot of people go on these some programs, and they're paying all these fees, and they're like, "Well, how do I know I'm actually going to get back what I put in?"
Exactly. And I haven't had any complaints about my free coaching.
Yeah,
Everyone's
yeah,
very
yeah.
satisfied.
It was a good time to mention our QR code again, because
Yeah.
that's a good way that people like you've heard that it's free, right?
Mhm.
So scan your phone on that and
Yeah.
check it out, because there's no like there's that's an awesome opportunity. Like anybody who's like checking out our show, if you're looking for that side gig, you're looking for that to maybe transition, and you're like, well, how can I transition into my own thing?
Yeah.
This is something to take your phone and scan that. It's going to bring it to stepahead.com. Step
Mhm.
ahead. Well, I've been calling it Step Ahead because it sounds like
It is Step Ahead. It's
yeah,
Steph
Step
like my name. Steph
Yeah,
Ahead. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
stepahead.com, and then that the QR code is gonna bring you right there, and so what you said, like, people click on that,
Mhm.
that brings you into your program so you can start to, like, book a conversation or,
Yep.
uh,
Yeah,
an
exactly.
appointment.
I'll take you into where you can drop your contact information. So I'll reach out to you tomorrow, but you'll also see once you fill that out, you could click right away. If you want to click on my calendar, you could schedule a call. You can look around the website. There's all kinds of resources there. I've got an awesome portal. So once you sign up and we get together and talk, I'll give you credentials to the portal. There's great tools in there. We talk and I'll send you a book or I'll send it to you on Audible and we'll get started. So it's not just for people that, are interested in business ownership. It's people that want to spend some time clarifying their goals so they can, figure out what it is that they want to do for their future. So love to hear from you.
Well, I think that's a really cool thing, and that's why we offer, like, these, QR codes and the links below for people who don't like QR codes, that you can just take those links below. If you wait to the end of the podcast, we've been live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Kick, and you can just click within those URLs are live on the podcast description of whatever platform you're watching or listening to, so that you can do that, or you can take the QR code again and they go directly to that stepahead.com. And we do
Mhm.
recommend that people check out the links of the people we talk to on the show, because then you can dive into what we've been discussing. So we do
Mhm.
encourage you to do that. And I want to thank you for being on the show today, and hope people will actually take the opportunity to actually click through and check this out, because that's what we've been talking about today. And I think it sounds like it's a no risk
Mhm.
situation. So you got to check it out if you're interested in what we've been talking about.
Yeah, thank you.
But I want to thank you again for being on the show today. You do have that book there, so that people actually get the audio version of the book if they book
Mhm.
with you, right?
Yep, absolutely. Thanks so
Okay.
much for having me. It's been a blast.
Well, it's great. We love to talk to people and show people like new ways of maybe having a new opportunity to
Mhm.
transition to your next step in your life. And maybe today that this is the opportunity for you. So we
Yeah.
thank you for giving people this potential opportunity for themselves to check out.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.